For some cultures in the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons, life and death are simply two sides of the same coin. Creatures live and die, and from their death new life emerges. And for some there is neither life nor death. Join us to see how to play as such a being. Hi everyone, and welcome to another chilling episode of
The Dungeon Crashers.
I'm Guy.
And I'm Zapeel. Before we get started, remember to like and subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any of our excellent D&D content. Today, we continue our exploration of the Strixhaven University with a look at the Witherbloom College. This college is devoted to the study of life and death. Druids and necromancers study side by side and often dabble in each other's arts. Others, such as rangers and rogues, come here to study as well, because the college has much to teach beyond magic. Studies in herbalism, healing, poison, and animal handling, and many others are found within the walls and within the swamp that makes up its campus. The University of Strixhaven is found in its own plane, and students from all over the multiverse come to attend, but the plane itself is home to those outside the university, and often those inhabitants are chosen as students as well. Our student is an unusual one indeed. She is not only an inhabitant of this plane, but of the swamp in which Witherbloom College is located. How long she has dwelt there, she doesn't know. Time really has little meaning for her. She only knows that once there was a swamp, and then others came. She avoided the others, even as they came into the swamp. Sometimes she watched them, but they never noticed her, until a boy came. He was a young elf, or at least that's what he told her. He found her as he was out gathering herbs. No one had ever noticed her before. The boy came to speak to her, but she didn't know how to speak, but he came again and again, and soon she learned his speech. He told her about the others, and that they came here to learn, and that he was such a student. Over time, the boy learned much, and he changed. He told her this was called getting older, and it happens to his kind. He stayed at the school, becoming a teacher instead of staying as a student, and remained her friend and never told others about her. One day he told her he was going to die. She knew what death was, and it happened to many things, but she didn't know that it happened to people. He assured her it did, and it was his time, and that he was ready, but asked her if she would like to go to the school so that she could learn of such things. He said that before he died, he would take her to meet the dean of the college and see that she would be made welcome.
Our characters using the Reborn lineage from Von Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. The Reborn have a variety of origins, but they all exist somewhere between life and death. Some are zombies or golems or the result of botched resurrections. Our character is simply deathless. The creature type of Reborn is a humanoid, but in the Unearthed Arcana version you chose a secondary type such as undead or construct. We aren't using that version here, but talk to your DM about it, and if allowed we would take undead for the second type. Their size is medium, and have a move of 30 feet. They speak common and one additional language. We are taking Elven as the first language we learned. They have a deathless nature, having advantage on saves against disease and being poisoned, and have resistance to poison damage. They have advantage on death saves and don't need to eat, sleep, or breathe, and can finish a long rest by remaining awake but motionless for 4 hours. They also have memories of a past life, where they can call on glimpses of things long past. When they roll a d20, they may roll a d6 and add that number to the number rolled on the d20, and they can do this a number of times per long rest equal to their proficiency modifier. They also gain proficiency in 2 skills of your choice. We're taking Perception and Stealth, as those are the skills that allows us to remain undetected for so long.
Our background is the Witherbloom student background. It has the usual things that you would expect from a background, as well as some additional features. As an interesting thing about these backgrounds, it's that they are written as if the abilities they grant are the things the character learned as a student of the school. In the adventure, the character begins their first day of school with the abilities. In our campaign, we interpret these as the skills and abilities the character already possessed and are the traits that interested the school in inviting them to attend. The background gives the skills nature and survival, as well as proficiency with an herbalism kit. Our character has lived alone in the swamp for a very long time and knows a great deal about the wilderness and tending to injured animals. It also adds certain spells to your spell list at different levels, and we will discuss these as they become available. It also gives the Strixhaven's Initiate feat as a bonus, and you must choose the Witherbloom College. This feat is similar to the Magic Initiate feat, but it limits the cantrips you can choose from. It allows you to choose a first-level spell from 2 different lists, and the spell becomes known to you, and you can cast it with any of your spell slots. We can choose 2 cantrips from among Druidcraft, Chill Touch, and Spare the Dying. We'll take Druidcraft and Spare the Dying. We are going to get Chill Touch for free later, so we don't need it now. We can also choose a first level spell from either the wizard or druid list, and we are going to take Find Familiar from the wizard list. When we leave the swamp to attend the school, we conjure a spirit from the swamp to accompany us, and it takes the form of a marsh viper. Reborn get the flexible ability scores Wizard uses for most of the new races, which are 3+1 ability bonuses that you can put wherever you like, but no more than 2 on a single ability. We put a 10 on strength. We are slim and not large. Our race is hard to determine, but we appear human. We put a 15 on dexterity, making it 16 with our first bonus. We are graceful, quick, and very stealthy. We put a 13 on constitution, making it 14 with our second bonus. Our nature makes us tougher than normal. And we put a 10 on intelligence. We tend to live by our instincts and experience rather than careful consideration. We put a 15 on wisdom, making it 16 with our last racial bonus. Our long existence has given us a wealth of experience to draw on, and we are difficult to charm or deceive. Lastly, we put an 8 on charisma. We have always been a loner and have almost no experience with other intelligent beings.
Our character begins as a monk. Although we have not been in a monastery, we have lived as a hermit for as long as we can remember. We have learned to master our body and use it to defend ourselves from predators. At first level monk, you gain 2 skills from the monk list, and we want acrobatics and athletics. We move with ease in any environment. Jumping, swimming, climbing are all second nature to us. You also gain proficiency with strength and dexterity saves, simple weapons, short swords, and an artisan tool of your choice, and we're taking poisoner supplies. Our knowledge of herbs and fungi extend beyond just those used for healing. You also gain martial arts. You are proficient with unarmed strikes, and your unarmed strikes deal a d4 damage. This damage increases as you gain levels. You may also use dexterity instead of strength for attacks with your unarmed strikes, or monk weapons, which are short swords and any simple weapon without the two-handed or heavy property. You gain unarmored defense, which lets your armor class be equal to 10 plus your dexterity and wisdom modifier, as long as you aren't wearing armor or using a shield. Also, when you take the attack action with an unarmed strike or monk weapon, you can make an unarmed strike as a bonus action. At second level, you take first level druid. You begin studying at the school and begin learning magic. It comes naturally to you. Your studies are all about manipulating life energy, which seems as normal to you as breathing does to other creatures around you. Druids gain proficiency with light and medium armor and shields, although they will not use armor made of metal. You learn to use these in your studies, but have no need to use them. You also learn to use a scimitar, but also have no interest in using it, preferring to use your unarmed strikes or a simple wooden rod. You learn Druidic, which is a secret language used by druids, and you learn spellcasting. You gain 2 cantrips from the druid list, and you take Shillelagh, which allows you to empower a club or staff for 1 minute as a bonus action. When you do, the weapon deals a d8 damage, and you can use your wisdom instead of strength or dexterity for attack and damage with it. You also learn Thorn Whip, which allows you to attack a creature at a range of 30 feet, and if the attack hits, the target takes a d6 damage and is pulled 10 feet towards you. Druids are prepared casters and can prepare a number of spells per day equal to their druid level, plus their wisdom modifier, so 4 for now. Our background adds the spell Cure Wounds and Inflict Wounds to any spell list we have. Our preferred spells are Absorb Elements, Healing Word, Inflict Wounds, and Entangle. Our studies have taught us to use life energy to heal, harm, and influence the growth of plants.
At third level, we take second level of monk. Your study of life energy has given you more control over your own. You gain key points, which you can use for a variety of effects. You can use Flurry of Blows by spending 1 key point to make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action after taking the attack action with an unarmed strike or monk weapons. You can use Patient Defense, spending 1 key point to use the dodge action as a bonus action or Step the Wind, allowing you to disengage or dash as a bonus action, and when you do so, your jump distance is doubled. You have 2 key points now and gain 1 for each level of monk. You also gain unarmored movement, increasing your speed by 10 feet when not wearing armor or using a shield. At 4th level, you take 3rd level of monk, gaining a monastic tradition, and we are taking the way of the mercy monk, which concerns itself fittingly with manipulating life energy to heal or harm. You gain Hands of Healing, letting you spend 1 key point to heal a creature, including yourself, a number of hit points equal to your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. And when you use Flurry of Blows, you can replace one of the attacks with this healing without expending an extra key point for the healing. You also gain Hands of Harm. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend a key point to deal extra necrotic damage equal to your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. From Monk, you gain Deflect Missiles. As a reaction, when hit by a missile weapon, you may reduce the damage taken by a d10 plus your dexterity modifier and Monk level. If you reduce the damage to 0, you may throw the weapon or ammunition back as if it were a Monk weapon with a short range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. At 5th level, we take 4th level of Monk, gaining an ability score improvement, and we will use it to increase our wisdom to 18. This helps our unarmored defense and our attacks with Shillelagh. It also helps with our spell attack and save DCs, and the damage or healing from our Hands of Healing or Hands of Harm ability. Our increased wisdom allows us to prepare another spell and will take protection from evil and good. It is an excellent protection from certain types of enemies. You also gain slow fall, allowing you to use your reaction to reduce falling damage by the amount equal to 5 times your monk level. At 6th level, we take 5th level of monk, getting extra attack, allowing us to make 2 attacks instead of 1 when taking the attack action. Our cantrips also improve at this level, giving Thorn Whip an extra d6 of damage. Thorn Whip is an excellent cantrip for a melee fighter. Not only does it let you attack creatures out of the melee range, it lets you pull them back into your melee range. You also gain Stunning Strike. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can spend 1 key point to force them to make a Constitution save. The DC equals 8 plus your proficiency modifier and wisdom bonus. If they fail, they are stunned until the start of your next turn. Your martial arts die also becomes a d6 at this level.
And at 7th level, we take our 2nd level of Druid, continuing our magical studies. We gain a 3rd first level spell slot and can now prepare 5 spells. Another good spell to prepare is Cure Wounds, which is less useful in combat than Healing Word, but much more effective for healing after a battle. We also gain Wild Shape. Twice per short or long rest, we can use our action to transform into a beast shape. We can take the shape of a beast of challenge rating 1/4 or less that doesn't have a swim or fly speed. We can stay in this shape for a number of hours equal to half our Druid level, or until the beast shape is reduced to 0 hit points. If it is, we return to our normal form with the hit points we had before taking Wild Shape. If the damage would reduce the beast shape to less than 0, the excess is subtracted from your own hit points after you revert to normal form. There are a lot more rules to Wild Shape in the Player's Handbook, and you should read them before playing this character. You also join a Druid circle, and we want Circle of Spores. This circle is appropriate to Witherbloom, as it is concerned with both life and death, and is involved with molds and fungi, which they believe are the central part of the cycle of life and death. You gain circle spells, which are added to the Druid list for you at certain levels, and you always have them prepared, and they don't count against the number of spells you can prepare. At this level, you don't get your first circle spell, but instead gain the Chill Touch cantrip, which is a ranged spell attack that deals necrotic damage, 2d8 for you at this level, and they can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. If the target was undead, they also gain disadvantage on attacks until the end of your next turn. And you gain Halo of Spores, which is an invisible cloud of spores around you. Whenever a creature you can see moves into a space within 10 feet of you, or starts its turn in one, you can use a reaction to deal a d4 necrotic damage to it unless it makes a Constitution save against your save DC. This damage increases as you gain Druid levels. And you also gain Symbiotic Entity, allowing you to spend a use of your Wild Shape to awaken the spores. You gain 4 temporary hit points per Druid level you have. The spores remain awakened for 10 minutes or until you are out of these temporary hit points. While active, you can roll a second dice for your Halo of Spores and add it to the damage they deal, and all of your melee attacks deal an additional d6 of necrotic damage. At 8th level, you take 6th level Monk, getting Key-Empowered Strikes. Your unarmed strikes are considered magical for purposes of overcoming resistance and immunity to damage. And from Way of Mercy, you gain Physician's Touch. When you use Hand of Healing on a creature, you can also cure the creature of being paralyzed, poisoned, deafened, blinded, or stunned. You may instead cure them of one disease affecting them. Also, when you use our Hand of Harm ability, you can inflict the poison condition on the creature until the end of your next turn. The poison condition gives the subject disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. You also gain another 5 feet added to your unarmored movement. As your control over your life energies increase, it increases your speed and reflexes. At 9th level, you take 7th level Monk. Your increased reflexes grant you evasion. When you save against a spell that allows you to take half damage on a success, you instead take no damage, and only half if you fail to save. You also gain Stillness of Mind, letting you use an action to end an effect that is frightening or charming you. At 10th level, you take 8th level Monk and gain another ability score improvement, and we're going to increase our dexterity at 18, improving our unarmored defense and unarmed strikes. We could also cap our wisdom, which would improve our save DCs, unarmored defense, and attacks with Shillelagh, but we think that dexterity will be a little more useful since we have to use unarmed strikes to deliver Hands of Harm. At this point, you have finished studying at the school and have learned a great deal and have made a few friends, but are still interested in learning more, so you stay on for advanced studies, working closely with the professors and even teaching a few classes. While many students at Strixhaven find you disturbing, the students and faculty at Witherbloom College accept you and treat you with respect. Some of the senior professors are even beings called Dhampir, which are similar to you in some ways, also being beyond life and death.
At 11th level, you take 9th level of monk. Your increased speed and reflexes now allow you to move in unnatural ways during your movement. Your unarmored movement improves, letting you cross vertical surfaces and run across liquids without falling during your movement. However, you must have a place to stand at the end of your movement. At 12th level, you take 10th level of monk, gaining purity of body, which makes you immune to disease, poison, and the poison condition. As you master your body, the resistance your nature gives you becomes complete. Your unarmored movement gains another 5 feet, making it 50 feet in total. And using Step of the Wind, you can dash as a bonus action, making your movement a total of 100 feet. As you can also run up walls and over liquids, you are incredibly mobile and use this to your advantage. In battle, attacking and moving out of range to be counterattacked, using Thorn Whip to pull enemies out of range where their allies can help them, placing obstacles between you and the enemies that will hinder them and that you can effectively ignore, casting Entangle on the enemy can make this tactic even more effective. At 13th level, you take 11th level of monk. Your martial arts die increases to a 1d8, making your unarmored strikes equivalent to your attacks with Shillelagh, making the cantrip less important for the time being. Your other cantrips improve here. Thorn Whip now deals 3d6 damage, and Chill Touch deals 3d8. From Way of the Mercy Monk, you learn Flurry of Healing and Harm. When using Flurry of Blows, you can now replace each of those with the use of your Hands of Healing without expending key points, and you may replace one of these attacks with the use of your Hands of Harm without expending any additional key points. The later ability makes our full attack quite effective. We can deal 1d8 plus 4 attacks with unarmed strikes or monk weapons, each one dealing an extra d6 from symbiotic entity, and then deal 2 Flurry of Blow attacks, also dealing 1d8 plus 4 and a 1d6 damage, and an additional 1d8 plus 4 from Hands of Harm. Our damage is not quite equal to a fighter or barbarian of our level, but it is comparable, as is our unarmored armor class of 18. While we aren't as capable of standing toe-to-toe with the enemy as those classes, we can do so if needed, but we are unmatched as a skirmisher, striking at weaker enemies behind the lines of their guards, using hit-and-run tactics to avoid return attacks or forcing enemies to try and chase you. You can also excel as a scout and an ambusher. At 14th level, we take our 12th and final level of monk, gaining an ability boost, and we are going to cap our wisdom at 20. This makes Shillelagh a useful cantrip again and improves the save DCs of our spells and monk abilities. This also lets us prepare an additional spell, and we can take whatever you like, as we are going to get second level spells soon, and we want to start preparing them.
And at 15th level, we take 3rd level Druid. Having mastered our own life energy, we focus our study on the life energies around us. We gain an additional 1st level spell slot and 2 2nd level spell slots, and can prepare 2nd level spells. Gaining a level also lets us prepare an additional spell each day for a total of 8. Our background adds Lesser Restoration and Wither and Bloom to our spell list, but they are already on it. Wither and Bloom is the 2nd level spell we want to prepare. It is the signature spell of our college and suits its philosophy. It deals necrotic damage to enemies in an area of effect, and allows an ally in that area to spend one of their unused hit dice and regain that many hit points plus your wisdom modifier. This also withers non-magical plants in the area. If our party does not have a primary healer, you should also prepare Lesser Restoration, as it is often crucial to have. If this isn't necessary for you to take, consider preparing Augury, which can be cast as a ritual and allows you to tap into the world around you and gain useful information. You have almost certainly gained a means of seeing in the dark by now, but if not, dark vision is available at this level. Our circle spells are Blindness, Deafness, and Gentle Repose. Both are great to have always prepared. Blindness is a great way to shut down enemy spellcasters, and a way to cripple a melee opponent. Gentle Repose is excellent if you have a companion die in combat and don't have time for someone to cast Revivify. At 16th level, we take 4th level Druid, getting an ability boost, and we're going to increase our Constitution to 16. Our hit points are a bit low for our level, and even though we're good at avoiding damage, having some extra cushion would be good. Improving our Constitution saves is also a good thing. Our Wild Shape also improves. We can now Wild Shape to a creature of up to half challenge rating and can have a swim speed. At our level, we are better off using Symbiotic Entity in combat, but Wild Shape is useful for scouting and other utility uses. Remember, we also have a Snake Familiar that we can use for some of the things we might otherwise use a Wild Shape for. We gain an additional 2nd level spell slot and can now prepare 9 spells total, and take whatever you want, as we'll be getting 3rd level spells next level and we'll want to start preparing those. We also learned another cantrip, and Guidance is always useful. We haven't taken it so far because our racial ability is similar, but we can only use that a limited number of times per day, so having Guidance will give us unlimited uses. If you would prefer, there are a number of good attack cantrips available: Produce Flame, Poison Spray, and Primal Savagery. However, Chill Touch and Thorn Whip probably handle our needs for range attacks, and in melee we are better off using our attack action than casting a cantrip. At 17th level we take 5th level Druid. We gain 2 3rd level spell slots and can prepare 3rd level spells. We can prepare 10 spells in total. Our background adds Revivify and Vampiric Touch to our spell list. We want to prepare Vampiric Touch as it suits our character concept and allows us to heal ourselves and harm an enemy at the same time. If no one in your party can raise the dead, Revivify is good to have prepared. Another spell to consider is Aura of Vitality, which is a 30-foot area that lasts for a minute, but lets you heal someone within the area, including yourself, 2d6 hit points each round. And Elemental Weapon could be another way to increase your melee damage. Our circle spells are Animate Dead and Gaseous Form. These are great spells to have prepared every day. Zombies aren't particularly powerful at this level, but are still useful to hinder enemies, and even more useful to trigger traps by opening doors and chests for you. Gaseous Form is great for scouting, especially with your excellent stealth rolls.
Mm-hmm. At 18th level, we take 6th level of Druid. We gain another 3rd level spell slot and can prepare 11 spells in total. Circle of Spores grants us Fungal Infestation. If a small or medium creature dies within 10 feet of you, you can use your reaction to animate it as a zombie with 1 hit point that remains animated for 1 hour. It acts after you in initiative and can only take the attack action. It follows your mental commands, and you can do this a number of times equal to your proficiency modifier, each long rest, and you can have more than one at a time. At 19th level, you take 7th level of Druid. You gain 1 4th level spell slot and can prepare 4th level spells for a total of 12 spells. Our background adds Blight and Death Ward to your spell list. Blight is an excellent area of effect damage spell, but we are getting it for free as a circle spell. Conjure Woodland Beings, Guardian of Nature, and Polymorph are also good spells to consider. Our circle spells are Blight and Confusion. As I said before, Blight is a great spell to have, and Confusion can really mess up an enemy. At 20th level, we finish the build with 8th level of Druid, getting a final ability boost, and we are going to use it to cap our dexterity at 20. We gain a second 4th level spell slot and can prepare a total of 13 spells. For the prepared spell, take one I said before from the previous level that you didn't take. At 20th level, this is a strong character. It can be a force in combat, a great scout, a good healer, and has a great deal of utility outside of combat. A lot of people consider monks to be underpowered in combat, but I think that depends on the play style. In a standard dungeon crawl, where combat involves melee characters tanking enemies while the spellcasters finish them off, monks do suffer some in comparison to fighters, barbarians, and paladins. But the way our group plays amongst mobility and usefulness as a skirmisher comes into play a lot. We use miniatures and maps for a lot of fights, and there are a lot of opportunities to gain advantages. We also have a lot of opportunities for scouting and stealth, which monks excel at if your campaign has opportunities for that. Our Druid levels give us extra utility both in combat and as a healer. It probably shouldn't be the only source of healing in the party, but it is a great in-combat healer that will free up the cleric, for example, to use his spells or weapons to fight the enemy and then handle the major healing when the battle is over.
I really like the feel of the character. It is spooky, mysterious, has kind of a fish-out-of-water nature that's fun to roleplay, and it really suits the style of the Witherbloom College. We did a similar character quite a while ago in our Hoodoo Voodoo video.
Yeah.
And as a DM, I have used that character as an NPC, and it really has an impressive aesthetic that can frighten and intimidate a party and can also be a strong ally. This character is a bit different and I think better for use as a player character, but would also make a great NPC to use either as a friend or foe for a group of adventurers. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and also any questions or build ideas, especially if you have an idea that would suit the final member of our party, which is a member of the Lorehold College, which we'll be doing next week. So join us for that, and until next time,
Cheers.